Aaron, roughly a week and a half into BYU football training camp, what are you noticing in terms of the general progress of your offense?
Well, I think we're a work in progress. That's what I would say. We've been doing a lot of good things. We have some veteran players who have played a lot of football for us that are doing a lot of good things. We have some young guys that are developing, and really, it's just a matter of just accruing more reps so that your timing and everything is in sync, and you just have to keep practicing to get ready for that first game. But I think we're on the way. We've been doing a lot of good things in practice. I wasn't super pleased with how we played today, but I'm very optimistic about how we're going to be on offense this year.
I don't know how specific you want to get about the most recent practice, but what are some of the things that were causing you a little bit of concern and distress today?
We had too many penalties today, and it's what happens in fall camp. It's the first day we had a full Big 12 officiating crew.
Hmm.
And when you have that officiating crew, you can't get away with all the little things that sometimes you get away with in a football practice. You realize that the game, you have to be on point with all of your execution. You got to play fast. You got to get lined up, get your feet set before somebody goes in motion. Just a lot of those little details that get exposed when you have an officiating crew. I think that's where we need to start there, because you have some of those mistakes, and now you're second and long, third and long. It makes it tough. But like I said, we've been doing a lot of good things, but today having that full officiating crew was an eye opener, I think, for a lot of our young players.
How much of the frustrations or maybe the mistakes today is because you're trying to break in a new quarterback and trying to get reps for three of those guys?
Honestly, today, I didn't have that much to do with the quarterback. It was just as a unit, just uh, getting lined up quickly and playing with a real play clock and a real officiating crew. And, sometimes you get away with a little holding penalty in practice that isn't going to get called and there's no consequences for it. And, or maybe it does get called in practice, but we're not actually driving the ball. Those things get exposed in a scrimmage like today. And that's why you do it. You have to scrimmage to learn from those things. And I'm really confident that our players will, take those lessons and apply them to our next practice.
BYU football offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick is on BYU Sports Nation. Let's be fair because you also mentioned that you've seen your offense and your team do some really good things over the first week and a half of camp. So, what specifically are you encouraged by the most in those roughly 10 days?
Well, I think we're gonna be able to run the ball, and when we have our best 11, 11 to 14, 15 guys available to us, we have some pretty dynamic personnel groups. We can do some things in the run game and in the passing game. I think we have some good players that are proven guys. Chase Roberts and JoJo and Parker and LJ and Sione Moa and Carson Ryan. Those are guys that have played in big games. I probably just left somebody out. And we have a good offensive line, so I'm very confident we're going to be good on offense. But offense, there's no shortcuts. You have to just rep the plays over and over, execute, and learn to deal with all the different looks a defense can give you. And we're on our way to doing that. It's just, like I said, we're about 8, 9 practices in, and we've got a few weeks to go before we're ready to play.
How do you feel about the overall depth and health of your offense right now? If you could shed some light into both of those things.
Well, it's one of those things, no coach is ever going to say, I feel great about our depth. It's just like, because everybody's greedy and you always want more and more of it. But I do feel like we're a deeper team each year as we grow in this program. Each year we get a little bit deeper. And so we've had guys step up at every position when we've lost people. And I do think we have enough depth to get through the season at every position. Um, but you have to have a sense of urgency when you're one of those younger guys that's a backup. We're trying to teach the sense of urgency of how quickly your opportunity can come, and I think our running back position last year was a great example of guys just stepping up game after game after game, different guys stepping up. Or Enoch Nawahine played huge for us in the SMU game and the Baylor game last year, and he was probably the 5th running back on the depth chart, and Sione Moa came out of nowhere to help us. LJ, obviously, everybody knows him, but those types of opportunities happen, and you have to be ready. And so we're getting to the point where our younger guys are starting to realize that game's coming up fast and they've got to be able to execute.
Aaron Roderick is on BYU Sports Nation. Understandably, a lot of attention has been paid to the three-headed monster you have in the quarterback's room and the competition that has been very, very hotly contested thus far and is continually brewing. But in your opinion, has one of the three created or at least started to create some separation in that race?
Yeah, yes. I mean, I think there's starting to be some a little bit of a separation there. I need to watch this film to confirm that. I think, because the body of work grows incrementally. You get a certain number of pass attempts each day in practice, and that body of work grows, and we're keeping track of how these guys grade out every practice. We keep track of every stat in practice the same way you would in a real game, because stats aren't everything, but they do matter. It's part of the position. And then also just we grade them on if they're doing the right thing with the ball every play. And so yeah, it's not going to be equal reps forever. That's the time is coming soon where we're going to have to make some decisions. You can't keep giving equal reps to three guys, or nobody will be ready to play. So that time will be coming soon. I'm not exactly sure how soon, but we are watching it very closely every day.
You have been very outspoken in years past about how much emphasis you put on ball security, on a quarterback's ability to get his team to the line right
Yeah.
and do so in a timely fashion, and certainly red zone efficiency. What else would you add to that list of the A-Rod love languages when it comes to determining who the starting quarterback is going to be?
Well, yeah, you're right. It starts with taking care of the football, because if you can't score without it, okay? If you give it to the other team, you can't score. So scoring's the name of the game. If you take care of the football, you always give yourself a chance to win. So, last year we won a tight, you win some tight games that are high scoring, you win some tight games that are low scoring. But if you take care of the ball, you give yourself a chance. So it starts there. And then, just accuracy, throwing completions, moving the team, the guy that moves the team the best down the field and scores points, because that's the name of the game. You got to score. And so that's kind of what we're looking for. Decision making is a huge part of the game. And so we're looking for a good decision maker who's accurate and takes care of the football, and then explosive plays is the final thing. You can't, it's hard to win games going on 12, 13, 14 play drives. We love those, and we've had our share of those over the years. And when you chew a bunch of minutes off the clock and score a touchdown, that can be demoralizing to the other team. But it's hard to do that over and over and over again without getting some chunk plays. And so we're looking also for the quarterback that can create those explosive plays for us. Those 20, 30, 40, 50-yard gains that, really put pressure on the other team. And so I would say those are the things that are really driving this decision.
You just said a few moments ago that it's not going to be equal reps forever, and that time is coming shortly when you will have a guy that's going to at least start to take the majority of those snaps. When do you anticipate that will be implemented into practice?
I'm not sure yet. I want to watch this film. I want to talk about it with our staff and obviously with Kalani. But like I said, it won't be, it'll be soon. It'll be soon. And that could be the end of next week. It could be early next week. I need to see, it'd be unfair of me to make that decision right now. And we just played about 100 snaps out there, and I haven't watched the tape yet.
Last year, we weren't sure, at least publicly, who was going to run out as the starting quarterback until we saw the starting quarterback run out with the offense in the opening series of game number one. Yes or no, do you anticipate a similar situation developing this season?
Probably not. I think last year it was sort of to our advantage to not let the opponent know who was going to run out there. And this year, we haven't really talked about that yet, but I think this year when we do make a decision, we'll probably just make it and say who it is. But again, I need to talk to Kalani about that and see what his, we haven't discussed that yet. So I don't, he might answer opposite of me, and you guys might think we're not on the same page or something, but because we haven't talked about it yet. But personally, I don't see any big advantage this year to not letting the opponent know. Last year, that was an interesting situation with Jake and Gary, and Gary's ability to run the way he did at Baylor and that type of thing. It was, we just tried to, give ourselves an advantage in game one.
The game before the game. I respect
And
it.
really game two and game three, because those teams are already looking ahead. Hey, who are we preparing for? That type of thing. So you give your second opponent and your third opponent a little less time as well to know who to be ready for.
We're talking with BYU offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick. When you assess a decision like that, whether you hold on to it until the game or the week before, the decision itself obviously is one that is not taken lightly and is very tough. In fact, Fesi Satake, your good friend, joked with me, like, I'm glad I'm not making the decision.
Yeah.
But how much does his opinion, Fesi's, as the passing game coordinator, factor into your decision, as well as Kalani and his opinions in the matter?
No, yeah, Festi has a huge role in this. He's our passing game coordinator. He coaches our receivers. I've been coaching with him for a long time, and we have a great relationship, and I trust him very much. And so I very much count on his opinion. And then I'll add to that, though, our whole coaching staff, this is the most quarterback friendly, quarterback knowledgeable coaching staff I've ever worked with. Kevin Gilbride played quarterback in college. He's our tight ends coach. He played quarterback in college. He's been in the NFL for a long time. His dad was a famous offensive coordinator and head coach. He has a lot of knowledge as well, where he gives good input. Coach Woods, our offensive line coach, he is absolutely every single thing he does in the run game and the passing game, he's always thinking of the quarterback first. And that's a pretty interesting approach for an O-line coach. A lot of those O-line guys don't think much about the QB part of it. And then of course Matt Mitchell's involved, but Fesi's role is huge to go back to that. And I trust him very much, and he'll definitely be in that conversation. That's why I don't want to go too far with making bold statements until I've talked to these guys, because I welcome their input and I want it. And I don't sleep well at night. This is, I feel an obligation, first of all, to our players and the coaches in the program. And then I feel an obligation to, our quarterbacks. I want to do right by them and be fair to them. And then all of Cougar Nation is counting on us. The standard doesn't drop. Whoever takes that field is going to be expected to play like up to the BYU quarterback standard that's been set by so many other great QBs. And so, I take that very seriously, and I want to do right for everybody. And so it's tough.
Love that insight. Aaron Roderick is on BYU Sports Nation. We'll finish quickly with just an assessment of your three quarterbacks, maybe what each of them are doing well and what you are pushing each of those three individuals to work on right now, beginning with McKay Hillstead.
For McKay, it's just a matter of, he's operating so much more quickly this fall than he did in the spring. And you can just see that his comfort level in our offense has really grown. And I'm pleased with that growth. And it's what a difference from spring ball till now and how he's operating. And I would like to just see him continue to be able to just push the tempo, get a play call, get our team going, get lined up, move things along. It's one of those things, as a fan, you're watching the game, you probably don't really notice, but the faster you can get that call, get people going, lined up, the more play clock you give yourself to see what the defense is doing. So that's why I want to see McKay just keep growing in how fast he plays and how he processes the information and moves our team. And that's what I'm looking for out of him.
All right, great assessment on McKay Hillstead there. How about Trayson Bourget?
Trayson, he actually is the guy who knows the offense the best of the three, I would say. Just he's been in the program a little bit longer than the other guys. And, I think Trayson is doing a lot of good things for our team. And really, it's just consistency day in and day out, just being consistent, he knows what to do. He runs the team well. I just want to see a high level of consistency from him.
Okay, and finally, Bear Bachmeyer, who was an obviously exciting freshman with a high ceiling.
Yeah, Bear, very talented guy, very smart. It's amazing. He's only been here. What I think I can't remember if today was practice 8 or 9, but to be in college football, for 8 or 9 practices and to know our offense as well as he does is very impressive. And with Bear, what we just need to see is just reps with our best players. Those reps just grow a little bit each day, and there's times where like he's doing the right thing with the ball, but maybe he hasn't thrown that particular route to that guy before, and maybe we're a couple inches off because just sometimes it's things like a person's body language as they're coming out of their break and understanding the timing of it. With Bear, it's just a matter of building up his reps and gaining experience. But I'm very pleased with him, and like I said, all three guys are better than or Trayson and McKay are both much better than they were in spring and much better than they were a year ago. So I'm pleased with their improvement. And then Bear is giving them everything they can handle. He's right in the mix.
Aaron, you are a gentleman and a football scholar to spend so much time with us during such a busy schedule. We appreciate the real life look into the emotions that you are experiencing right now. And I don't know, I'll send you some melatonin so you can try and get some rest, brother. You deserve a good night's rest.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Aaron.
Good to talk to you.